Good morning, scholars. It is Friday. You made it to Friday, and it's day 3 of online science. Now, I made it a goal to make these videos shorter because I noticed that my video yesterday was 25 minutes. Now, not only am I going to make these videos shorter, I'm trying to make them a bit more engaging with video editing tools. So if I'm doing better, let me know. If I can improve, also let me know. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in to today's lesson. Today's objective is to examine how your organism plays a role in all levels of an ecosystem. The first step is to open your previously submitted file, so yesterday's assignment, that has your identifying your organism and finding a credible source sections completed. Now, it should look a lot like this. This is my own copy. You can find your own copy in the previous assignment. If you have trouble accessing it, you let me know immediately. In my example, I went ahead and chose a particular species of dog, the Canis familiaris, also known as the Chihuahua. Now, I noticed that a lot of you chose a specific dog or fish as your organism. Make sure that you choose a specific species of dog, fish, or whatever your organism is. This is particularly important because not only does it give us more specifics, but a Chihuahua is definitely very different than a pit bull. A pit bull is very different than a golden retriever. These are different kinds of dogs, so you need to be specific about what species you have in naming your organism. That section should already be completed though. The other section that should have been completed as well is the finding a credible source section. Now, you should have found your own credible source and filled out the rubric at the last page. This is the rubric at the last page. As you can already see, I've already filled out my own. Your rubric should look a lot like this, either highlighted or bolded, and you should have chose for yourself where your rubric, where your website lands in terms of its credibility. Is it a 2, is it a 3, etc., etc. I explained this in the previous video, so check out the previous video if you're a little lost about how to determine if my source is credible or how to determine my organism. Those are 2 important things we should already know when coming into this. Lastly, we should have had this last portion filled after we filled out the rubric. Here I copied my website below. I argued that my website was credible. It retrieved a score of 18, which means it's a credible source. Obviously, here's the scoring criteria. And I explained a little bit, you can read it on your own time over here, pause the video, why it's a credible source. Now that we've already have our previous file opened, we need to continue this project beginning at the research section. But before we get there, I wanted to check out the exit tickets that we submitted yesterday because this is very important. How do you know if a website online is credible? Now, I received a couple very well thought responses, as you can see here, but there are also responses where some of you put down, I honestly don't know, and I don't know. Now, we would know if we went through the criteria, so make sure if you do not have this rubric out, if you did not fill, is your website credible out, this is something you need to fill out because you need to know what credibility is. And credibility is these criteria. Credibility is knowing that your author's name is easy to find. Credibility is having the website being updated frequently. Again, this was all covered in the last video, so make sure if you're still a little lost to refer back to that last video or reach out to me about it. So our main assignment and our next step is actually beginning the next section. Identifying your organism, check. Finding a credible source, check. Now we're going into the research portion. Some of you have already filled out the research portion, but I'm looking for a little bit more, and specifically on how you conduct your research. You must use the credible source that you've identified in order to answer each part of each question. There's A, B, C, and D. Your credible source should be able to describe and answer each of these questions. These questions should actually look very familiar to you because in the last video, I used the example of the COVID-19 virus in a way that I described how it affected all levels of the ecosystem, all 6 levels of the ecosystem. Your goal today is examining how your organism affects all the levels of the ecosystem, so that should match up. Each of these questions help you answer that main focus question of the day, your objective of the day. So your main goal for today is to answer each of these questions. As you can see on my screen over here, I have spaces here where I can answer these questions. Go ahead, make spaces on your own and answer each part of these questions. What is your organism's habitat? How does your organism depend on its habitat? Remember to use the definition of a habitat. There are also other definitions here that you should know as well. Not only habitat, but population, community, ecosystem. You know, with all of these vocabulary terms, I feel like there might be a vocab quiz coming around the corner or something. It's just a possibility that, you know, I'm suggesting. But that's besides the point. Answer these questions. If you have any questions about the definitions, refer back to your notes or contact me during the office hours I've scheduled. Now, after you've answered everything, it tells you to copy everything and paste it in a new document. Now, this is where you have to pay really, really close attention. Here am I in today's assignment. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy everything that I've made. Pretend this is all filled out. You know, Control A, Control C, minimize this tab, open this new document. Guess what? This document is actually blank, which is why you copied everything. Now, what I am going to do now is paste it all. And boom, magic should happen within the second. Here we go, it just took a moment to show up on the screen. So there you have it. I copied everything from my previous thing that I submitted yesterday. So that's a Control A, Control C, or just click copy. And then I pasted everything, paste. And here it is, all shown up perfectly. Wonderful. And all I have to do is submit it from there. Once I've submitted, then all I have to do is go to the exit ticket. Today's exit ticket looks like the other days, but make sure you do your exit ticket because it's a part of attendance. It asks you again, what's today's objective, achieve the day's goal, and what is one thing you research about your organism. And there you have it. You completed the day's assignments. And we've already covered a lot of ground since Wednesday. Remember, 1, we defined all levels of an ecosystem. 2, yesterday, we identified how to find a credible source. Today, we examine how your specific organism plays a role in all levels of an ecosystem. Now, that's a lot of learning. And hopefully, if you need a refresher, there's always these videos in your notes to look back to. But always remember that we will keep building on this information. Next week, we will continue this project, but for now, enjoy your weekend. Remember to stay clean, stay hydrated, and to keep each other safe. Now, I appreciate you all. Hope that you enjoy the weekend. Hope that we see each other soon in school in about a week and a half at this point. But until then, take care. Thank you so much. Have a good day.